A person can only truly be themselves when they are alone. Those who enjoy solitude and take pleasure in their own loneliness are people with exceptional minds. They derive two benefits from solitude. One is the advantage of not being with others, and the other is the benefit of being with themselves. People who embrace solitude do not become overly attached to human relationship, or allow their minds and hearts to be distracted by unimportant things. Here lies their solitude, and this becomes their strength. The thoughts and plans of those who contemplate alone are often misunderstood by others. As only a genius recognizes a genius, only those truly free in their solitude can understand the depth of solitary contemplation. They do not waste time being overly concerned with their relationships with others. Those who embrace solitude are the owners of high ideals. They strive to realize these ideals on earth. However, reality is far from these ideals. Those who live with the stars of high ideals in their hearts are bound to be lonely. In the end, a person comes to know themselves through being alone. If a person does not understand the value of solitude, they will not understand the value of freedom. That's because a person can only truly feel free when they are alone. A person becomes most harmonious only when they are solely with themselves. Only when alone can one truly achieve peace and stability of the heart. The wise person enjoys the life given to them within their solitude. But the foolish person fears the boredom that solitude brings. So they constantly seek low-level pleasures for momentary gratification. This light, impatient desire for pleasure leads to all sorts of problems and plunges them into a dark whirlpool. A person's life is like a pendulum swinging between suffering and boredom. If these two balances are not correct, we lose ourselves, become unstable, or waste precious time that could have been spent in solitary contemplation. Humans are inherently lonely beings, but all exceptional individuals are especially more so. Solitude is their fate. Those who want to live life deeply must be prepared to be alone. It is necessary to understand the fact that the greatness of life is born in solitude. Practice is needed to become free from others. The more entrenched the habit of caring about others' views, the more harmful and disadvantageous life becomes. Almost all of our anguish and suffering come from worrying about what others will think of us. The moment we become conscious of others' eyes, the previously calm mood gets disturbed and anxiety begins to dominate. It's the moment when the standards of my happiness are suddenly dictated by others. When praised, take it lightly. When criticized, let it go lightly. Praise can be like a cloud that scatters when the wind blows. Criticism may come from a person with a crude mindset or narrow opinions and weak thoughts. People who live without caring about others and without caring if others recognize them are much happier. People who constantly care about the gaze of others are nothing but slaves to others. Slaves are always bound to their master, looking at their mood and living according to their command. If others' standards are important, then you're just their slave. Free yourself from the gaze of others as soon as possible and become alone. To be happy, you must clearly distinguish between your true self and the self reflected in the eyes of others. Ultimately, human happiness depends on how well one can endure being alone. Be grateful for the time alone and put time on your side. Strive to develop and grow yourself during the time of solitude. Do not try to fill loneliness with other people, but first become your own friend. Explore what you truly want and when you should be happy, and become a person who can be happy even with small changes in behavior. When you possess the image of yourself that you want, you won't need to make a conscious effort to shine. Your beauty will naturally radiate, attracting people around you. If you become a flower, butterflies will naturally come. Life is a journey to reach your destination alone. Human life is not dictated by external factors, but originates from within oneself. People have the freedom to choose in their lives, and these choices determine their lives. However, this freedom and choice also come with solitude. Nearly all the problems we face in life are incredibly ambiguous, and the future is unpredictable. What you once boldly pursued, confident it was the best solution, can become the worst decision over time. Moreover, my freedom can be limited in inevitable situations at any time. Therefore, these choices can sometimes be difficult and painful. To escape from this pain, you should not impulsively follow your desires, but analyze the situation and make the best decision. The first 40 years of life are like a novel that you write yourself, and the remaining 30 years are spent interpreting that novel. The younger you are, the more you should live to encompass. Whether the book called Me will become a classic that people want to revisit in their hearts. Life is the sum of each day. How I live each day culminates into how I live my life. Those who have experienced despair have their own history, and they step onto the path of wisdom to reflect on life. What we thought was the burden of life can become the basis of life. If it is something you can do it willingly. And if it is something you must endure it willingly. We should live the life we can live, not the life we want to live. Happiness can only be achieved alone. Happiness is temporary and fickle. People pursue happiness and feel satisfaction when they attain it, but that satisfaction is fleeting and unstable. Ultimately, when happiness leaves, we tend to feel sadness and anxiety. Therefore, the pursuit of happiness might even cause unhappiness. The moment we pursue happiness is the moment we fear losing it, and that fear leads us to a state of instability and unhappiness. It's like when we have someone we love, we fear losing them. Therefore, it becomes more important to cultivate acceptance of unhappiness rather than pursuing happiness. Unhappiness and pain are tools for human growth. Unhappiness brings maturity to us. In a state of happiness, one cannot feel their limit. And remember that they often lack the ability to deal positively with any problems that arise. However, when unhappiness and pain eventually come, they realize their limits and put in more effort to solve problems. In life, people who have gone through several trials and misfortunes, through unhappiness and pain, one can deeply explore their inner self and develop their ego. This is paradoxically called the wisdom of unhappiness. Through the experience and insight gained by experiencing unhappiness, one can understand the meaning and purpose of life more deeply. The essence of happiness is to maximize personal growth and development. Everyone can feel true happiness by maximizing their abilities and satisfying their inner desires. To achieve this self-realization, one must persistently observe oneself. To do so, one must stop being conscious of others' eyes, not obsess over mere human relationships, and focus only on their own voice. Those who know others may be wise, but those who know themselves are enlightened. This is a task that must be done alone, in solitude. Contrarily, there are also things that can easily make us happy. They are usually the mundane things that can be done alone in daily life. These are things like reading a book alone without meeting anyone, listening to music, enjoying meditation, sweeping the yard, or looking at flowers. The smaller our perspective remains on minor things, rather than pursuing something big, and the narrower our scope of action, the larger our happiness becomes. The wider we see the world, the greater our desires become. The wider our perspective and range of action, the more our needs increase. This, in turn, increases our worry and anxiety about fulfilling our needs and desires. Among those with great wealth, many consider themselves unhappy. They often possess an empty soul, even though they own considerable wealth, because they focus on external things. Pleasure and dissipation are a kind of ennui stemming from mental poverty. These people may appear affluent outwardly, but internally, they belong to an exceedingly poor category. What distinguishes human happiness and unhappiness is not something objective. It merely depends on how we perceive and accept it. The better we understand our inner selves, the closer we can approach the land of happiness. Happiness exists only for those who are satisfied with themselves.